Okay. Hello, Luke. Once more.
Hi.
We have decided to meet today and talk a bit more about both Setapp and Hookmark. Hookmark joined Setapp a couple of weeks ago in the beginning of November, and straight away you've gained many users in Setapp who knew about the app before already and used it before, and so many new customers who never heard about Hookmark and first saw it in Setup. I think that this session would be most useful for those ones, but there are also a bunch of users who tried Hookmark, same as me, and know some basic things, but would like to get a bit more details and the story behind Hookmark, and you as a developer and people who worked on the app with you. So let's start with Hookmark. So what is Hookmark, and what does it mean to hook?
Okay, so Hookmark is an app that aims to reduce the frustration that people feel when they navigate between information items that are related within a project. So often information is scattered between different apps. So you may have mail messages, you have files in the Finder, you've got web pages, PDFs, all kinds of items and apps that you'd use on Setapp. So for any given project, typically there's lots of information that's in different places. The question then is, how do you find that information? And if you need to search every time, then that you get slowed down repeatedly needing to search for information. And plus, this is repeated because we have multiple projects going on, right? Might be writing something, we might be learning something, have to produce something for a customer. So we've got these islands of information, these little networks of information. Anyway, so Hookmark is meant to help you just navigate between the information that's related to it should be related to each other. So that's the idea of Hookmark, is to take the search out and just basically navigate with links like we're used to on the web. Oh, I can't hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I think I've muted. Thank you for the brief intro. And together with Hookmark, there's a lot said and written about ubiquitous linking and the manifesto of ubiquitous linking. I know you've been sharing it with me before, and many users to share a lot about it. So if you could mention a bit more about this.
Sure thing, sure thing. So it's at linkingmanifesto.org. People can find this ubiquitous linking manifesto, and this basically arose out of a recognition that being able to get a hyperlink to an object, an information object in any app, is just as fundamental as being able to copy text. And yet many apps don't have the capability, either by providing a user interface or at least some automation where software can get a link to the current item. So this was written up in a chapter in a book on the future of text at first, and then we got together, a number of us. Actually, there's 24 originators of this, including myself as the main editor. David Sparks. There's Angel Vu. I've got a list here, actually. Brett Terpstra, many of you know because he's on Setapp. Eric how do we do his last name? The guy from Devon Think, Frank Blom, Frode Alexander. We've got quite the list. Jacob Gorban, who's also a Setapp developer of Nitro PDF. And well, actually, he's with Nitro, but he's got Trickster. So a number of us got together. So we've got bloggers and developers and some professors got together and basically said the ability to copy links really should be ubiquitously available across apps. So it's meant to inform end users about what they're missing, what they should have, and also to nudge developers, make them aware that, hey, you know what, this is something very fundamental. It's actually quite easy to provide. this basic functionality, easy to implement. So let's give it to all users so that people can create networks of interrelated information that's related to them. So we published this in December of 2021, the 24 of us, and we opened it up basically to anyone who wants to sign this manifesto. So there's a signatories page, and since then we've had quite a few people, developers and end users, many end users, just wanting this capability. So they go ahead and they sign the manifesto and they share information about it. You can share it on Twitter after you signed it. So yeah, we've also, on that website, we've also explained the psychological rationale, the difference that it makes to be able to just click on a hyperlink to get somewhere as opposed to needing to search through the Finder or use Spotlight or use Google over and over and over again to get to the same information, right? So it's about helping users stay in flow, stay focused while they're working, not distracted by needing to search every time you need something. Yeah. So
And as I understand, all the applications which are link friendly, they have signed the manifesto. So it's like an entry point. So is it that way related or not? Or it's
uh,
not a must for developer to?
well, I mean, one doesn't have to sign the manifesto per se, but quite a few of the developers have done that
Hmm.
that have link friendly apps. But there's a lot of people. An app can be link friendly with just spontaneously without even knowing anything about Hook. Like if you can then mention some apps out there that just conform from day one with. Oh, I said Hook, I meant Hookmark, and it's not really about Hookmark. It's really about the capabilities that the app provides, right? About being link friendly. And so that expression that you use actually got that from, it was David Sparks who used the expression URL friendly. So I thought, you know
Hmm.
what, let's make it even friendlier and call it link friendly, because not everybody knows what a URL is, but we all know what hyperlinks are.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the idea. It's basically, to simplify it, is that we want all apps to be link friendly to users who want to navigate with links. Yeah.
Hmm. I understood you. Thank you. I guess there was a story behind Hookmark and the whole idea. And if you could share a bit more about this, that would be great. I heard something about Steve Jobs, which who also took part or somehow influenced you. So could you
Yeah,
share with us a
well,
short story on this?
there actually, it was near the end of his life that of course he was about to announce a tablet. We didn't know what it would be called, what it would look like. I had been working at Simon Fraser University for but that time about 8 years, on developing technologies to help people regulate their own learning, to do great learning basically with technology. And I had realized that very early on in the project that, again, in order to do that, you need to be able to connect all these information items together. People need to be able to just click on links. So we knew that, and we knew a bunch of other things. We thought deeply about a whole bunch of other things about learning with technology. So when the tablet was, we knew it would be announced. We thought, oh my God, this looks interesting. So I got in touch with people at Sharp Brains, our website of brain fitness and cognitive fitness. I was associated with them actually, and I said, hey, let's do something fun. Let's write requirements for this tablet that Apple's going to announce. It's probably going to be a great product. It's Apple's going to do it, so it's got to be pretty cool. But let's say, what should this thing do? We'll say 10 things that this thing should do, um, and then I'll watch the demo that Steve will give, and after that, I'll write an assessment of this device, which is what I did. So just before the announcement, SharpBrains published my article, these 10 things it should do for brain fitness, and then I watched the demo and I was really impressed because the iPad could have been so many things. Microsoft had its prototype of what it could be, and we just laughed at that because it was not very cool. But the iPad was cool, and I don't think anyone saw it coming. That would be a big iPod, and it got flamed for that being a big iPod. But in fact, it was a brilliant idea. It was so Apple to keep it simple. Anyway, and as we saw, it was eminently successful. But it actually got trashed at the beginning. The press was not happy. I loved it. I wrote to Steve Jobs and I said, hey, you guys did really great with this thing. But I wrote this article, and I think it could be even better. So I said, want me to fly down there and talk to you about it, or write you a white paper? Anyways, he said write a white paper on it, and that white paper. So I wrote him a white paper very quickly. It included ideas about linking, and that idea basically led to me writing a book on cognitive productivity, two books actually. And it I ended up developing basically at CogSci Apps. We basically prototyped four different products based on the book. Things that Apple had not yet done that we felt could have been done around the iPad. So Hookmark and it is one of the four uh, projects that we started on, and we said, okay, let's do Hookmark, which solves the that problem. So you can say that that little white paper with Steve Jobs for me it crystallized a lot of my thinking, and it led me to write a book, and it led us at CogSci Apps to develop a lot of software. So that was kind of the connection. Of course, Steve Jobs passed away after that, and dearly missed, but we're still using his tech.
So you have three more ideas for the apps remaining.
Yes. Well, I mean,
Okay.
if you read the cognitive productivity book, there's a bit of a hidden message in it. I didn't think it was very subtle, but whatever. It's basically the cognitive productivity books they tell you what the opportunities are that we have using technology, and the challenges that we face. So yeah, it basically, I said in a third part of the first book, I said, these are, you know, there are ways to get around the challenges that we face. At the time, for instance, I mentioned, okay, you don't have all these linking capabilities, but you can use all these tricks. And for productive practice, I mentioned there's something like Anki, flashcard apps you can use. So yeah, so it was written. It was kind of tongue in cheek, really, because I'd be writing a functional specification for software in a book, publishing it, and then if a competitor wanted to read it, they could read between the lines, say, oh, well, there's a product we can do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the other ones, yeah, there's ideas there that we could still pursue. But we've got our hands full. We're not a big team. We've got our hands full with Hookmark. We can go so far with that product, and we've already gone quite far. And yeah, I think that'll keep us busy without having to do all the other things. Well, of course, we did another app before Hookmark. Actually, we want a proof of concept, because the other side of this is cognitive science. So I'm a cognitive scientist, and I believe that software can be better if it's based on an understanding of how the human mind works. So we built an app to help people fall asleep that proves that if you understand, have a good theory about something to do with the human mind that your software is going to address, it'd make for pretty good software. So that's an app to help people fall asleep, as I say, and it's very original in the way that it does things, if I may say, because again, it's based on cognitive science, so it leads you to see things from a different perspective, not just spoke psychology and just, yeah, let's put together another UI, another app that does this the same way as everybody else. So yeah, the idea is to spur some creative thought by using cognitive science. So, and Hookmark is like that too. So it's 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 got it addresses core capabilities in the human mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Understood you. Thanks. So let's move to Hookmark and
Sure.
Hookmark now, and Hookmark in Setapp. So you joined Setapp back in the beginning of November, and as I know, there are 14 apps in Setapp, which are link friendly. So tell us a bit more, please, about apps. With which apps Hookmark works, and then we will move a bit more to Setapp.
Okay, sure thing. Well, in general, Hookmark works with any app that's link friendly. So it has to have some automation capabilities for grabbing the name of a document. Because basically, the core idea is, when you're looking at a document, is, okay, if you want to create a link to a document, then you need to know what's the name of the document, because links shouldn't just be an address. There should be a friendly name to it, and the address. So if it's a file, then we need to be able to get the path of the information. If it's a web browser, then we need to get the URL. If it's an app that has its own URL scheme, then we need to get the URL to the current selection, right? So you can copy a link, and once you have that link, you can paste it anywhere. So there's a large variety of apps, and each, we've got an apps compatible apps page on the Hookmark website that lists all the apps, and then Setapp has kindly produced a link of sorry, a list of link-friendly apps that you can use Hookmark with. So it's quite the list. So I'm looking at it right now. There's timing. There's Nitro PDF. On the Setapp side, there's iThoughtsX, MindNode, Good Task, Task Paper, Note Plan, Pathfinder, Hootspot. Oh, if I scroll down this, I will see some more. Remind myself, Trickster, Code Runner, Side Note, and Brett Terpstrau's Markdown previewer called Marked. So those are the ones that are link friendly. There, you can also use the app with you can use Hookmark with apps that don't quite meet that requirement. I mean, kind of the edge case is if the app has a user interface for copying a link to the current selection, but doesn't have the automation for it. So we've got, or doesn't have full automation for it. It's not dedicated automation. So in that case, Hookmark, we ourselves or our users can add little scripts to enable Hookmark to connect to those apps. So there's quite a few of those. So we don't consider them fully hook friendly, but at least there's some integration there. It can get brittle if you change user interface languages or whatever, but for the most part, you can get quite a bit of mileage, even with apps that don't fully meet the requirements. Yeah.
Sounds great. And I also wanted to remind for Setapp users that these apps, which look just listed and we mentioned, you can find them all in one collection. So we've put them in one of Setapp collections, and there's a small button there which would let you download all those apps at once if you want. Yeah, and we've also published a small blog about the apps in Setapp, which are link friendly. We will attach a link to it so you can read, and we will attach many more other links which Luke will provide us with. So I would also like to ask you, Luke, if you could share with us a bit some examples on how Hookmark works, or some maybe preferably with some of Setapp apps that would be useful for our users, with some of apps in the Setapp collections which are link friendly, if we could
Sure.
see.
So I'll start by showing you something right here. So let's grab a document that I'm editing in a certain text editor. So we've had a newsletter recently, and this is the newsletter written in Markdown. So it's I've written this in Markdown in some app. So which doesn't really matter which one. So with Brett Terpstrau's previewer, I'm going to bring this down here. So we have a view of this Markdown document. So you already marked users already know how to generate the Markdown, the Mark preview. So I won't get into that phase. But what you can do with Hookmark is you can invoke Hook on a document in Marked, and what you'll see here is a collection of hooks that I've already created, which are bidirectional links to the currently selected document here. And you can open that document. You click on the button at the top, and then you can. Well, that's the easiest thing you can do, is just open it. Well, we're already open, you'd think, but the thing is that Marked is a previewer, so it's not an editing app per se. So usually you don't have it as your default for opening a document. So what the open command does here in this case is it actually opens it in the default app, which is whatever you've got set up for text files on your computer.
And
Now another
can I add just a quick question? And
yeah.
is it possible to change the app that no taken app? I mean, basically it's text text. Oh,
Oh
I want
yeah,
to.
okay. Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
how to change it to a different one? Because that's that's something I
Okay.
was
Yeah.
trying to find. Maybe you can
Okay.
cover it
So
after
there,
that.
yeah, there's a base. Okay, so first of all, there's this command called reveal file in Finder. This is very handy that Hook has. You
Uh-huh.
know, if you're in some document, you want to know where it is. Unfortunately, Mac OS doesn't tell you.
Mhm.
It's kind of tricky. So we've made it universal. So it generalizes what Hookmark is about. Is basically navigating information that's related to your task. So we're going to reveal this file in Finder. It's actually going to show up on a different screen. So I'm going to bring it down here. Okay, so now we found out where this file is. I can click on this in the Finder. I'm in the Finder now. Could have used Pathfinder, which is one of the Setapp apps, and I can see, okay, this is where it is in navigation structure. Okay, so having done that, I'm going to do Command I on the file to change the default app, and this is right
Oh,
here.
that's how
So
we
you
do
can
it.
change that
Mhm.
now. I which the what question arises? Which is the uh, uh, setup app for .text
I
files?
think task paper maybe if
Well, task paper can be used. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm going to illustrate task paper. Task paper is it's optimized for tasks. I actually use task papers as my manager, as my
or
task manager.
note plan.
Oh, no plan does text things. Okay, so you can change it
Okay.
right there, and then basically when you open it within Hook or any other app, you'll do that. So I kind of illustrated a special case, but let's get to
Yeah. Thank you.
a more general case.
Yes, yes, yes.
So here I am in this. I'm gonna hide my sidebar here, and I'm gonna invoke Hook. So you can invoke Hook in different ways. A keyboard shortcut, Control H is the default. That's what I tend to use. There's a secondary keyboard shortcut you can use, Command Shift Spacebar, and you can change that in the preferences. And you can also use the menu bar icon here, with which so you can click on this and say Show Hookmark contextual. We call it the contextual window because it shows you the document in context. So here, there's already a lot hooked to this thing. So I'm going to create a new file that doesn't have um, anything hooked to it yet. So you can see what it looks like when there's nothing hooked. So notice that there's no number up here on the menu bar. This Hookmark's menu bar icon. So there's no number there. That means there's nothing hooked to it right now. I'm going to explain what hook means in a moment. But if we show the contextual window, then you'll see, okay, what do you see here? Well, it's basically a repetition of the existing item that you were looking at. So you got the title, reflects the title of the selection. Okay, if you change the selection, you get a different title. Okay, and it's a little dance that you do every time you want to use Hook. You need to invoke it because Hook gets out of your way when you don't need it. You just bring it up when you need it. And one of the first things you might want to do with Hook is copy a link to the item. Now, you might be wondering, well, how can I copy a link to a file? Files don't have links. Well, that's where Hookmark comes in. Hookmark has a way of creating links to things. So let's just copy a link. And then let's say that I did want to paste this in task paper. So I'll bring task paper up. Well, you know what? I'm going to copy a different kind of link for task papers because task paper is a well, you can use Markdown. It's not really optimized for Markdown, but you can use Markdown with it. So let's use let's grab a Markdown link so we can see the title and the URL because TaskPaper is essentially a plain text app. So I created a um, a demo file, a task file. Sorry, I created a TaskPaper file for this demo, unpopulated here, but I can paste that link, the link that I copied earlier, to the file anywhere, including in task paper. This is a markdown link, so you get it like that. So now when I click on this link, the file will open on a different desktop because I'm doing a demo. This is a first use case that we've shown you here for uh, creating a link to anything. Now what if I wanted to create a link to this particular task paper file? Well, I could do the same thing here. I'm gonna bring up Hookmark. I'm gonna do it the slow way so users can see what we're doing, and say, okay, let's do it as a markdown link. Okay, it could be a formatted link, but we'll do it as a markdown link. And then I will paste it somewhere, maybe in this particular item here. So here it is. Here's that link. So you can use the same principle. In this particular app that I'm using right now, have their own open link. So I'm going to open the URL here, and it's going to open the task paper file. But you can grab that same URL and put it in Spotlight. So Spotlight is very good for that. And then boom. So whenever you have a URL from Hook or anywhere else, you just paste it in Spotlight and you hit the return key, and then you can open the file. So that shows you that you can very quickly create a link to something, and then once you've got the link, paste it wherever you need it, in your to-dos, in your other notes, in your project files, in your emails, whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
So
sounds great. So that's what we have tried with Mark app, task paper. Um, maybe there's some more
sure,
interesting cases,
sure.
maybe with Nitro PDF. I know that you have this feature of connecting not just a file, but a specific page in the PDF document or a
That's right.
specific
That's right.
place. So if you could show this one, please.
Okay, so I've actually what? Okay, so this is a actually I'm working on a paper because I'm also an academic, and I'm working on a paper, and we're going to open this file in PDF Pen, um, Nitro PDF. Got to get used to its rebranding, and to do that, we would do open with Nitro PDF Pro, and it came up on a different screen. So I'm going to bring it down here. Okay, here we go. So normally, when you could copy a link to a file in Hookmark, you get a link to the entire file. If there's no selection, you get a link to the entire file. So you can copy a link here and paste it in the app of your choice. I'm thinking I should show this as a formatted link somewhere. So let's just bring Notes is a app uh, that people use regardless of the Setapp users will also use the Notes app, right? So I
Yeah.
copied a link. So this I just wanted to illustrate the. Here we are. Oh, wait a minute. We were doing this in Nitro itself. So let's bring up Hook, copy the link. It's a very common operation here. And this is I'm in Notes, yeah. So I notice that I pasted the link and the title set and the URL set. Okay, so you can do that, and now um, you can activate that link. It brings you to, oh, apparently I've already done a deep link. Isn't that interesting? So let's have a look at this URL. No, it's not a deep link. It's a regular kind of link. Okay, so I've opened this file in Nitro PDF. Now that was a link to an entire file. Now here I'm in this big PDF, and suppose that I want to uh, get to this particular location later in the document because I'm writing a scientific paper and I need to get my brain into this evidence for use dependent local sleep. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up Hook. This time I'll use the shortcut, and we're going to copy a link. And I'm going to put this link, for the sake of simplicity here, we'll put it in Apple Notes, and I get another link. The title is the same, but if you look at the actual details of the link, you'll see that there are X and Y coordinates. Okay, so I'm going to scroll. Okay, keep in mind that we were on evidence for use dependent. Okay, stuff. So I'm going to go up here just so you can see the scrolling effect. Now we're going to click on that URL, and when I clicked on that link, it brought me right back to where I wanted to go in the evidence for use dependent local sleep. This was page 7 in a document. So what's the big deal here is that you can have documents, PDFs that are 10, 20, 30, how many 100 pages long, and sometimes you need to get right to a location in the document. If you want, let's say you're studying for an exam, or if you're a lawyer writing something about a particular case, you want to get to exactly that spot. So Hookmark, in interaction with Nitro PDF, gives you that capability. And that actually, without those tools or other compatible PDF apps, you can't actually accomplish that. It becomes very tedious to get to the particular location and document that you want. Now, a thing about the deep links that Hookmark provides is that you're not you can later change the particular PDF app that you use if you want it. There's which we avoid vendor lock-in. So Hookmark is very open. We use open protocols. We don't use any hacksies or hacks. It's all using tools that are in the operating system and Apple script and tools that particular app vendors provide for us that are open. So later, if you want to, you say you needed to use Adobe, God forbid, Adobe Reader, which I don't really like, you can still switch to it, or that makes it useful if for instance, there's another feature of this that we haven't talked about is that the links that Hook creates to files are actually shareable to the extent that the file that you're linking to exists on also in somebody else's computer. It might be in Dropbox or a shared iCloud folder or something like that. If the file is there and it's named the same on a different machine, then you'll be able to get to it. You can just send a link to your colleague, and the colleague can click on the link and get right to where you want to focus their attention. Now, I said in this case that if the file name is the same, well, that constraint only holds for shared links. If you're talking about for your own self, if you rename a file, that's not gonna like I can rename this file to foobar, and I can move it around on the operating system. And the deep link, as you saw, the deep link still works. So that's very handy. So that's why we say that Hookmark's links and its deep links to files are robust. You can move files, you can rename them, etc. Whereas traditional links, your file // links and other links on the web, they break. You move something, oh well, you're in trouble. But with Hookmark, we've done a lot of work behind the scenes, like under the hood. There's logic that happens that helps you track these files and deal with these cases of renaming. Yeah.
Great. Some really good examples. Thank you. I get there are many more good use cases of Hook. So where the users can find more information about Hookmark and something sophisticated for them.
Oh, sure, sure. So, well, if they go to the website is actually called hookproductivity.com. We're easy to find. Google the Hookmark app, you'll find us. There's links from Setapp. We've written a lot of blog posts on using Hook with particular apps. For instance, we've got like what I've described today with respect to the deep linking in Nitro. We've talked about it. It was called PDF Pen Pro there. So if you look at the blog post for that, you see using Hook with that. We've written one for using Hook with timing, which is another Setapp app. We've written one for using Hook with Mark that I illustrated today. So we've got a lot of general use cases. Plus, you can look at our help pages. We have a very active forum. People are very helpful on our on the forum, so that if you have questions, you can just ask it there, and somebody will. If we don't respond, somebody else will respond. So there's lots of information collected on our website. And of course, through Setapp, you can get the link to our support pages and ask us whatever questions we have. One thing I should say is I'm very grateful to be, we launched into this, but to be on Setapp. I've been a Setapp user for a long time. So to be able to provide the benefits of Hook to the other Setapp users is great.
Thank you, and we are happy to have Hookmark on board. um, about apps which are link friendly, we have covered some cases, and there are many more listed on your website. There are definitely apps which are not exclusions, but which are not link friendly yet. Yeah, so they can work with Hookmark, but
Okay.
they don't yet. So
Okay.
what they can do to become link friendly? So if I, as an app developer, want to become a link friendly app and used with
Right.
Hookmark, what should I
Okay.
do?
Okay. So if you look at the apps page, we've got, maybe I can, oh, am I still sharing the screen?
Yeah, we see the list of apps now.
Okay. So if you see that the list of apps, then there's the apps that have full automation for linking are listed with a thumbs up. The ones that are kind of dicey because they use uh, they they've got link functions which we grab using UI scripting. They're listed with a little face like this. So, yeah, well, your mileage may vary. As a matter of fact, that often the linking is quite well works still works quite well, but there may be a language dependency is the main thing. So we've listed them here. So if there is an app that is listed like this that you'd want better support, then you can get in touch with the app developer. And we've got a web page for that, which provides you a template where you can ask them, hey, could you please provide um, linkability. We've found that within half a day, a competent developer who already has done an interface for their app using AppleScript or who know X callback URL, they can get it done. Definitely within a day, they're done. And then their app is link friendly. So that is something they can do. So I'm looking here at Missive is got so support, Mailplane, Spark 2 by Redl. Those are some of the apps that aren't quite there yet. Busy Contacts is not quite there yet. Um, yeah, so you just scroll down this page and have a look. But like I said, a lot of these apps, even if you see that that they're not fully link friendly, the automation works sufficiently well. I use Firefox a lot, and the automation works, quite well. If I tried to use it in a language that isn't yet supported, like Chinese, like oh my goodness, have we added that yet? If the other language isn't provided, then just mail us and say, hey, I work in this particular language, and the app, could you adapt the app to work in that language? Then we'd add that support. Fully automated apps, again, are not language dependent because we don't use UI scripting for them. For the fully automated apps, it's basically it just works out of the box. Yeah.
Got you. Understood. Thanks. So my final question will
Yeah.
be about plans for the future. So end of year 2020, the best time to build plans for the next year and next couple years. So what are your plans for 2023 in terms of Hookmark, the features, the ubiquitous linking as an approach, and all the things together. So what are your plans?
Well, I'm going to share something with you because just yesterday we pre-announced some of our plans. So I brought up this website which has a whole bunch of like features of Hook 5 that we have not yet released. I was actually demoing with Hook 5 because I tried to stick with the aspects of Hook that Hookmark 5. We rebranded, so it'll continue to take a while. One of the features that we're super excited by is that you'll be able to copy a universal link to anything that you can copy a custom link to. Now, this may sound technical, but actually, it's something that a lot of people who use links will have run into many times. If you try to uh, paste a custom link, like a link that has its own URL scheme, like it could be timing's got a new it's custom links. Now if you try to paste that in Gmail, in Google Docs, in a forum that's run by that's hosted by Discourse, um, or a lot of other web apps like Notion, you find that the links go away. These services ignore, they only know about HTTPS. If they encounter say Devon thing // or even Hookmark // or any other link format, they're going to blow that. They're just going to ignore it. But with Hookmark 5, you're going to be able to copy these links and paste them into those apps, and they're going to work. Apple is fully on board with these. Are called universal links. They're links that bring up an app. They don't go to a web page. Well, they go to a web page, but from the web page you get to an app. It's kind of the end user doesn't need to know about this. Apple has embraced these universal links, but and yeah, so we're going to take advantage of that in Hookmark 5. And we're also going to change some navigation aspects of Hookmark to make it even easier for you to just get on board and select information in Hookmark. So you can see that we've done that. We're going to automatically back up your database, which is handy. It turns out that not everyone turns on Time Machine or does regular backup. So we're going to basically do that for you. Those are a few of the kind of things that we have on the horizon. We have, I mean, I could just basically say as a vaguely speaking, we're we're experts in hyperlinking and navigation. So we've rounded out over the years all kinds of edge cases that maybe people would had not have thought of before. And we're in the business of continuing to think forward about, okay, what other cool ways can we bring the benefits of linking to people? So the universal linking is one way to do that. We can hint that there's web aspects of linking that have yet that have limitations that might be addressed, and we're going to be very interested in addressing that. New ways to share information, etc.
Great plans. I wish you all the best and good luck with this. I'm sure
Thank you very much.
it's
It's
gonna be
always a
great.
pleasure. Thank you. It's always
And
a pleasure.
I'm sure that setup users would like all those add-ons and new features and improved features.
Great.